Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God, back with you with the next video in my series reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Without further ado, returning to The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, as read by Lord Naren White.
Well, this is too many for me, Jim. I ain't seen no fog, nor no islands, nor no troubles, nor nothing. I've been sitting here talking with you all night, till you went to sleep about 10 minutes ago, and I reckon I done the same. You couldn't have got drunk in that time, so of course you've been dreaming. Dad fetch you. How's I going to dream all that in 10 minutes? Well, hang it all. You did dream it, because there didn't any of it happen. But, Huck, it's all just as plain to me as. It don't make no difference how plain it is. There ain't nothing in it. I know, because I've been here all the time.
Jim didn't say nothing for about 5 minutes, but sat there studying over it. Then he says,
Well then, I reckon I did dream it, Huck. But my dog, my cats, if it ain't the powerfulest dream I ever see. And I ain't ever had no dream before that's tired me like this one. Oh well, that's all right, because a dream does tire a body like everything sometimes. But this one was a staving dream. Tell me all about it, Jim.
So Jim went to work and told me the whole thing right through, just as it happened, only he painted it up considerable. Then he said he must start in and interpret it, because it was sent for a warning. He said the first towhead stood for a man that would try to do us some good, but the current was another man that would get us away from him. The whoops was warning that would come to us every now and then, and we didn't try hard to make it out to understand them. They'd just take us into bad luck, instead of keeping us out of it. The lot of towheads was troubles we was going to get into with quarrelsome people, and all kinds of mean folks. But if we minded our business and didn't talk back and aggravate them, we would pull through and get out of the fog and into the big clear river, which was the Free States, and wouldn't have no more trouble. It had clouded up pretty dark just after I got onto the raft, but it was clearing up again now.
Oh well, that's all interpreted well enough as far as it goes, Jim,
I says.
But what does these things stand for?
It was the leaves and rubbish on the raft and the smashed oar. You could see them first rate now. Jim looked at the trash, then looked at me, and back at the trash again. He had got the dream fixed so strong in his head that he couldn't seem to shake it loose and get the facts back into its place again right away. When he did get the thing straightened around, he looked at me steady without ever smiling and says,
What do they stand for? I see when going to tell you. When I got all wore out with work, and with the calling for you, and we went to sleep. My heart was most broke because you was lost, and I didn't know no more what become of me than a raft. And when I wake up find you back again, all safe and sound, the tears come, and I could have got down on me knees and kissed your foot. I is so thankful. And all you was thinking about was how you could make a fool of old Jim with a lie. That truck, that's trash. And trash is what people is that puts dirt on ye, on the head or the friends and make 'em ashamed. Then he got up slow and walked to the wigwam, and went in there without saying anything but that. But that was enough. It made me feel so mean I could almost kissed his foot to get him to take it back. It was 15 minutes before I could work myself up to go and humble myself to a black,
But I done it, and I weren't ever sorry for it afterwards neither. I didn't do him no more tricks, and I wouldn't done that one if I'd a knowed it would make him feel that way. Chapter 16. We slept most all day, and started out at night a little ways behind a monstrous long raft that was as long going by a procession. She had 4 long sweeps at each end, so we judged she carried as many as 30 men, likely. She had 5 big wigwams aboard, wide apart, and an open campfire in the middle, and a tall flagpole at each end. There was a power of style about her. It amounted to something being a raftsman on such a craft as that. We went drifting down into a big bend, and the night clouded up and got hot. The river was very wide, and was walled with solid timber on both sides. You couldn't see a break in it hardly ever, or a light. We talked about Cairo, and wondered whether we would know it when we got to it. I said likely we wouldn't, because I had heard say there weren't but about a dozen houses there. And if they didn't happen to have them lit up, how was we going to know we was passing a town? Jim said if 2 big rivers joined together there, that would show. But I said maybe we might think we was passing the foot of an island, and coming into the same old river again. That disturbed Jim, and me too. So the question was, what to do? I said, paddle ashore the first time a light showed, and tell them Pap was behind, coming along with the trading scow, and was a green hand at the business, and wanted to know how far it was to Cairo. Jim thought it was a good idea, so we took a smoke on it and waited. There weren't nothing to do now but to look out sharp for the town, and not pass it without seeing it. He said he'd be mighty sure to see it, because he'd be a free man the minute he'd seen it. But if he missed it, he'd be in slave country again, and no more show for freedom. Every little while he jumps up and says, "Does she is?" But it weren't. It was jack-o'-lanterns or lightning bugs. So he sat down again and went to watching, same as before. Jim said it made him all over trembling and feverish to be so close to freedom. Well, I can tell you it made me all over trembly and feverish too, to hear him, because I begun to get it through my head that he was most free. And who was to blame for it? Why, me. I couldn't get that out of my conscience, no how nor no way. It got too troubling, so I couldn't rest. I couldn't stay still in one place. It hadn't ever come home to me before, what this thing was that I was doing. But now it did, and it stayed with me, and scorched me more and more. I tried to make out to myself that I weren't to blame, because I didn't run Jim off from his rightful owner. But it warn't no use. Conscience up and says every time, "But you knowed he was running for his freedom, and you could have paddled ashore and told somebody." That was so I couldn't get around that no way. That was where it pinched. Conscience says to me, "What did poor Miss Watson done to you that you could see her black go off right under your eyes and never say one single word? Why did that poor old woman do to you that you could treat her so mean?" "Why, she tried to learn you your book. She tried to learn you your manners. She tried to be good to you every way she knowed how. That's what she done." I got to feeling so mean and so miserable I most wished I was dead. I fidgeted up and down the raft, abusing myself to myself, and Jim was fidgeting up and down past me. We neither of us could keep still. Every time he danced around and says, "Das Cairo," it went through me like a shot, and I thought if it was Cairo, I reckoned I would die of miserableness. Jim talked out loud all the time while I was talking to myself. He was saying how the first thing he would do when he got to a free state, he would go to saving up money and never spend a single cent. And when he got enough, he would buy his wife, which was owned on a farm close to where Miss Watson lived, and then they would both work to buy the two children. And if their master wouldn't sell them, they'd get an abolitionist to go and steal them. It most froze me to hear such talk. He wouldn't ever dare to such talk in his life before. Just see what a difference it made in him the minute he judged he was about free. It was according to the old saying, "Give a black an inch and he'll take an ell." Thinks I, this is what comes of my not thinking. Here was this black, which I had as good as helped to run away, coming right out flat-footed and saying he would steal his children. Children that belonged to a man I didn't even know, a man that hadn't ever done me no harm. I was sorry to hear Jim say that. It was such a lowering of him. My conscience got to stirring me up harder than ever, until at last I says to it, "Let me up on it. It ain't too late yet. I'll paddle ashore at the first light and tell." I felt easy and happy and light as a feather right off. All my troubles was gone. I went to looking out sharp for a light, and sort of singing to myself. By and by one showed. Jim sings out. And we'll go ahead and stop there for this week. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. I like to be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.